Should be good.
Good evening. It's May 10th, and we'll call a meeting of the Finance Committee to order. And now I'll turn over to the Board of Selectmen.
Selectmen, FinCom, and Board of Selectmen. Selectmen, Dayton, Mass. .06315, passcode 65817, or dial by 646-55656, and on continued
For the Pledge of Allegiance.
States of America, and to the republic for God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There, that is. Mike right here. Do you guys have a mic? So is that the only mic pod serving? Oh, yeah, there's one at the podium. Okay. So like if anyone speaks, would you mind speaking at the podium so it's able to be captured? Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, so we're at the process of the budget review, where I think it makes sense for us to go through the special articles and kind of work through where we might be looking at recommendations there, or any questions on those to come down to the final meeting. Does everybody have or know on the budget worksheet where those are? We're looking at the annual town meeting proposed special. So the first three, 16, 17, and 18, will be asked for an opinion because it's money related, right, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. The CPC is going to be funding it. It doesn't affect the tax
And the CPC is?
conservation.
The Community Preservation Committee.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I don't have any real questions on it if we're not paying for it.
Right.
So so everyone is aware, the CPC, they go through a pretty extensive application process. So where they put out applications, then they receive applications, and then with every potential project, they go through a review process. And so the projects that, the $25,000 listing of historic resources, the preservation of vital records, and the construction of a North Dayton playground. Each of those three projects have gone through the CPC process.
Yes, they're ready to approve.
Yeah, and they have.
Okay.
is a project that's been long in the planning stages. It is fully ADA compliant. Citizens, no matter of disability.
Said I didn't have any questions on that. Speaking of it, where you mentioned ADA, will there be I'm assuming the baseball fields stay in there.
Yes, it is.
How would, and maybe it's not an issue, maybe because it's flat ground, there's no, how do you get from the parking area to the, is it, that's it, that it's flat ground, so it's compliant?
If I could just add to that, the ADA coordinator has been involved in this whole conversation. And he's made recommendations, and I think this is all part of the plan that's going to, hopefully is going to be approved by the residents in town.
Okay.
But it's fully ADA compliant, which is something we need in town, obviously. So.
Wrong question, but again, I know when we used to use those fields, there were occasions where it might have been slight electrocution turning the lights on.
I feel like-
Yeah, right.
That would not be ADA compliant.
They've got rubber wheels, come on.
Make sure that's going to happen.
Well, hey, but we have built-in defibrillator, right?
Yes.
Depending on how bad the baseball game goes.
Yeah, you might need a little entertainment. Unless anyone else has any non-questions like me.
I have a question.
You have a question?
Yeah, on CPC, what
Yep.
kind, what's their, what are their funds right now? How much?
Fund balance, I believe they have over $900,000.
No other questions? We'll take
I-
Go ahead, Sue.
What-
Through tax receipts. CPA on your tax bill.
Oh, okay, yep.
So 1% of our taxes goes to us CPC funds.
Okay, thank you.
Just from a historic standpoint, they do take a good look at the projects that they do support and fund, and there have been things that we've thought were a slam dunk for them that they've turned down. Dave, any questions?
I do not.
Robert, you good?
I'm good.
Take a motion to approve 16, 17, and 18 as,
So,
Yeah, motion to recommend.
Mhm.
We like what is it? We do this,
Recommend.
motion to, for finance committee recommendation at the annual town meeting for these special articles.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to number 19. Is number 19 going to be withdrawn?
Yes, so the annual town meeting last year, as you know, funded the first year lease purchase. The fire engine that was funded is still being constructed, so we haven't even had to expend the first $106,000 yet. So the second year based on that will begin next year.
On to number 20, which is the final payment on street sweeper for $50,561.92.
Sorry, my recommendation there is in the wrong place. So in just my opinion, Mr. Chairman, this is something we need to fund. It's something we've already obligated ourselves to.
Is there a lifespan for these vehicles or this equipment? I mean,
So fortunately for us, our highway department is really, really good at maintaining as well as repairing
okay,
vehicles. So I believe the street sweeper we have right now is somewhere in the range of 12 to 15 years old.
wow.
So, yeah, but we do, I believe we bought a used one not too long ago. 6 or 7 years ago as well. So, but you'll see there's some additional articles in here that we're replacing some vehicles that are
Beyond,
1990
yes.
something, yeah. So they've outlived their useful life. And
And it sounds like we made the most of it.
yeah.
Most of it, yeah.
the highway department is I would say, one of, has saved this town thousands upon thousands of dollars by both maintaining and repairing their own vehicles as much as possible. But like, there does come a time when they need to be replaced. And you're gonna find that out real shortly.
Board of Selectmen standpoint, how do you guys feel about free cash on the last year of this?
We haven't actually taken a vote on it, but I would support using the free cash.
And I would imagine the first 2 years, we probably used free cash to fund it also, so,
The first year was funded in the operational budget.
okay.
Then it was actually taken out of the operational budget last year and funded with free cash.
Kevin, any questions on that?
Not on that, no.
Motion to recommend that we pay for the third year installment of the street sweeper out of free cash.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 21 is either a purchase or a lease on new ambulance for a 3-year lease. It would be nice to pay it all up front, but I don't see that as an option this year.
Revenues are down in the ambulance fund. And we certainly don't want to be depleting that down to nothing. And we do want to move them, very similar to what we did with the fleet of police cruisers, where in that case, because of the volume of vehicles, we're buying a new one annually. With the ambulance, we have 2 in the fleet. And we're trying to get them on an every 5-year replacement so that we get a lifespan of 10 years per ambulance.
That makes sense.
So kind of spacing them out. I believe this will move us closer, but not exactly 5 years. I believe that the last one we bought was 6 years ago. And by the time we get this one,
Yes.
I was just gonna
it's
say.
probably going to be closer to 7.5 to 8 years old. So just from a replacement point of view, we're going to want to.
Start the order now.
Yeah. So if you take the $122,000 lease payment, you're looking at $366,000, which means financing the lease is costing us, what is that, 40, Pete math for me?
12 a year.
12 a year.
What do you?
20.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, what he said. What the accountant said.
You have any questions on that?
No.
Sue?
No.
Dave? What Selectmen, do you have a preference on purchase or lease? Or funding source?
Yeah.
There's several items I believe we're going to ask for free cash. I don't believe this is one of those.
No, we're looking at ambulance fund. That would be that would be the motion that I'm going to be.
Yeah, no, I heard you say we don't want to complete it, so that's why I thought.
No, we still have room to spend, but if we spent the full 325, I think we'd leave a balance of just basically about a little bit less than 100,000. Does that sound about right?
So so it would be like a little more than that, but we've also relied on the ambulance fund to help fund operations as well, and doing both. That's what would really deplete it.
So I would support using the ambulance fund monies for this.
The motion for finance committee to recommend a lease purchase, 3-year lease purchase of a new ambulance to be funded by the ambulance fund.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Fire station feasibility study. Robert, I don't know too much about that one, so.
All right, so actually, can we hold that till the end?
Sure.
Well, I don't know. Let me ask our town administrator. I didn't see one on here for highway.
So I had the same question from the list, but the highway didn't make the FY23 prioritization list that came out of our meeting. But that notwithstanding, like based on our available free cash and the in the free cash that we do expect in the fall. I would recommend trying to do this in the fall. And revisiting the highway at that same time. That's just me.
Yeah, and I'd also like for capital outlay committee and to possibly have a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen, or if we can get on their agenda after one of our meetings to talk about doing feasibility studies out of the regular stabilization account.
Okay.
Because that, to me, is where those types of events should be funded through. It's not really capital outlay because you're not getting anything tangible out of it, but it is for the stability of the town and its infrastructure. So I think we need to look at starting to fund studies of that nature through our regular stabilization fund.
Okay.
22 is going to be held.
That would be my recommendation at this point. Yeah, try to do, so we get economies of scale when we go with the same consulting firm. So it'll also buy us some time with regards to the library solution. I mean, I know we're progressing towards a solution, but if that were to happen to fall through, now we would be looking at 3 feasibility studies. And the firm that we used for the police station is the same firm that we're looking at conducting these studies, and they're certified to do all the types of studies that are necessary, based on the different requirements that each of the buildings would require. But they would also be able to provide us with a quote unquote volume discount.
Right.
Yeah, we'd have to put it out to bid, obviously.
Yeah.
But based on the efficiencies there, there would be a savings.
Selectmen okay with that? Tabling that till fall and meeting with the capital?
I'm okay with that.
Yes, especially with,
There's no doubt we need a new fire station. How we can actually pay for the feasibility study. The bigger question at this point.
Now, is this a new one, or are we gonna be looking at either the one at
Feasibility study, so
Okay.
it would be,
I
they'll be
gotcha.
looking at the existing site, they'll be looking at the Port Dayton Fire, and they'll be looking at land that we own today, as well as other land that might be available for purchase.
All right.
So it's kind of a, mixed bag, so to speak.
Okay.
Right, no other questions on that? We'll table that and move on to number 23. Basically, it's a roll-off container for the dump, right?
Two.
Two,
Yeah.
okay. So 6,000 a piece.
This is something that the capital committee identified as a priority. And, you know, it's a well-deserved priority. I do actually recommend trying to fund that at this point. But I wanted to leave it up to this process to designate a funding source. At first I was thinking about raise and appropriate, but I didn't want to make that recommendation without a conversation.
Are you going off on my notes here?
No, I'm not cheating, I promise.
So there, I've taken a look at the special articles collectively and what we've done over the past few years, and the fact that our free cash is a little bit less than what we normally had. And given the dollar amount of the special articles that we still need to fund, there's no doubt in my mind that for some of them, we will need to raise and appropriate.
Chairman of the Board of Health last evening. Are there any ARPA funds available for this?
No. So there could be, it all depends on how we want to leverage our ARPA funds. The $1.5 million that is being held by the County of Bristol, like that project is not eligible for that. So if we were to address that, like any Board of Health capital priorities through ARPA, it'd have to be through our local funds. And, you know, like at this point, we have other spending proposals for that.
Assume that it outlay.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the recommendation of capital outlay?
We're not in the business of making recommendations for the funding source. We're in the business of making recommendations for what should be considered at annual town meeting. So the funding source is this body here.
Every,
Priority list, what was it rated?
It's rated pretty high from what I recall.
Yeah, because it was a health issue, the cost to repair them, I believe outweighs the actual cost of replacing them, or it was very close to it. So it was like, why would you repair something when you get something brand new, right? Plus the fact, I think these are also in the your age range as well. So again, oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the fact that it was $12,000, which is an affordable amount when you start looking at some of these other large capital expenses that we're looking at. You know, highway department vehicles are not cheap. You know, so that factors into it as well. You know, the fact that, and that also factors into the whole. From a finance committee point of view, or at least in my own personal view from a finance committee member point of view, is to raise and appropriate $12,000 is different than trying to raise and appropriate a couple $100,000. So.
I appreciate that.
it scored fifth, but
I'm sorry.
it, on the scoring system, it scored fifth.
Yeah.
area that we were using out of Rochester or wherever it was. Well, I guess my question is, we're buying roll-offs. They don't I mean, a lot of companies that pick up the trash normally provide the roll-off, so why do we own them?
I'm not sure, you'd have to ask,
That doesn't-
the Board of Health. I think what they do is they just bring a truck, pick it up,
Yeah,
dump it, come
Yeah.
back, pick up the next one, dump it.
right.
So it's all, so they're bringing back our own equipment.
All right, I just found it odd, because like I said, anytime I've gotten dumpsters, they bring it, they drop it, we fill it, they take it, they get paid for what we have in it.
Yeah,
I've never known that you.
it may also be a monetary consideration, the fact that then that company owns them, so then we would be leasing them from them on an annual basis as well. So that may be the other factor.
Yes.
I'm not certain.
Well,
Makes sense.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it might be cheaper for us to own them.
yeah, maybe. I don't know,
Just saying,
I wouldn't
I don't know,
mind
that would
having
be-
an answer to that, if anybody can get their hands on it, because I know it's not a ton of money, but, I still wonder why we own them, or why we're seeking to own them.
Say that's gotta be it.
I think you're probably right. I'm just curious. Yeah.
You're right, though, I'd like to know that one roll-off costs us $7,500 annually if we
Right.
don't provide it, and then it's only
Right.
$6,000 buy a new one. and
Usually you can cut a deal with somebody to do that, you know, I mean, NER and all, they're out now, they sold out. But what I'm saying is normally, if you're doing enough disposal with them annually, they'll leave a dumpster there, and they'll switch them out. You don't pay anything for the dumpster. But, no, and I understand that too, so it's just a curiosity.
Right.
Going into this too, Pete, I'm just, we're looking at the articles and stuff like that, can we get brought up to speed on our starting point? Like where we are with the budget and how much we have to
So right now,
correct the budget to start with?
with, before the highway contract,
Yeah,
based on the department request, we have 219,000 available in excess capacity. So right now, if we didn't raise and appropriate anything, if we didn't cut anything,
right.
we'd be under by 219,000.
Also, we're on
Numbers shouldn't change significantly.
anything going on with the school, anything gonna change there? DR?
No, the school's been cutting back their proposed assessment. And we did, so just generally, so what we did come to a new CBA agreement. So with the fire union, that is actually proposed to be funded, within the excess levy capacity where it is now. We wanted to try to get that done for the annual. So that would prevent going back for retros, or funding at a special town meeting. And we're optimistic by by early next week, we'll have an update on the highway contract as well. So we're getting, so just in terms of where we are and where we were, in FY19, we're in a pretty similar fiscal position now as we were in FY19. So contingent on our ability to fund the police station debt service. At the fall town meeting, but operationally speaking, we're actually in a better position than we were in FY19. We had to reset our revenues and our revenue projections going into FY23. But I mean, we're getting closer to where we were in FY22 and 21. But which really highlights the need for way more robust financial planning, which we've already begun doing. But yeah, we've been here before in terms of the position that we're in now. And I actually think the position that we're in now is pretty close to our tried and true real fiscal position as well.
One of the things that you're probably going to I think we're going to hear a lot of tonight, which would be different, is more than where we don't have any free cash to speak of. Some of the capital projects will probably more be recommended on a raise and appropriate basis than in the past. That kind of goes back to part of the state's recommendations. When the report comes out, one of the conversations I had with the auditors was that they want you to, the state expects the towns to really work more backwards than we take the expenses and look and see, okay, well, this is what we can go. They want you to kind of go the other way around. Really, we'd be kind of going through this, looking at the articles that we think we can afford, seeing if we're still in that position, and then kind of looking at cuts from there. And, you know, even recommendations that we make tonight on special articles, we may have to revisit and make changes.
That's what I was trying to avoid.
Yeah. Do it once and be done.
Because if we already have a number that where we know we need to be, then that's gonna help us decide what articles we're gonna even support.
Okay.
Thank you.
So like, if I could, like, I do have, if we're still on the list of the special articles, I do have an answer from the health agent on the roll-offs. And he responded that board just empties them. However, based on the solid waste market, that the Board of Health is preparing for the day when board just isn't around or they can't do that. So they also need the additional roll-offs like for ties and a lot of the bulky waste and a lot of the bulky waste that people like bring into the transfer station as well. So we would own them as a town, but board just as our current provider would empty them for us.
They don't make enough money on those to keep them here.
So I just wanted to.
Got it.
We want to, so like kind of to Kevin's point,
Do a
doing this once.
discussion first,
Yeah,
yeah,
do a
and
discussion.
then do
and-
the recommendations after, yeah, sure. I think that makes sense.
I think preliminarily, it would make sense for the number 23 to be raise and appropriate.
Yes.
Anyone have any questions or issues on that?
Raise and appropriate meaning coming out of the tax.
It would come out, yeah, it would be part of, yeah.
Yep.
No other questions, we'll move on to number 24. One fully equipped police vehicle, which I'm assuming that's an SUV.
Yes.
Before. How many total vehicles do they have? And yeah. We've been trying to replace one a year.
Right, so how many vehicles do they have?
Wow. It's in the range of 20. Don't quote me on that.
I'll find out.
I am not 100% certain.
And did we vote at last town meeting to order one?
We actually did two, I think, last town meeting because one got totaled.
Yeah.
And have they gotten those new vehicles?
One of them, I believe. The one that was funded,
Yeah, because I think we did one at annual and one at
yes.
special.
So we did an administrative vehicle at the annual for $45,000. That is here. The one that was funded at the special, I am not actually sure is here yet. I can find out. Yes.
So are we gonna get ahead of ourselves and getting two new in 1 year?
No, the answer is no. You'd be surprised how much miles go on those cars. So over 20,000 miles annually. So the life expectancy of them is somewhere between 7 and 10 years, really.
The fall one was to replace the total. also.
Yeah.
So one of them got totaled last fall, summer.
We already replaced that one though, didn't we?
This one.
Oh, I thought that was last year. I thought that was at the special that we replaced it. I thought we put it off.
Yeah, in special, right, special
Right,
fall.
I think that's when we funded it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely buy a lot of, Rob, I'll apologize, but we buy a lot of equipment, even for highway and the police department and stuff like that. And I remember at one time, we used to get like pretty good information on the vehicles that we owned, the years, the mileage, and things of that nature. Now, I do purchase it for Cardi Construction, and the one thing we do is we analyze all the vehicles, the mileage on them, and figure a break point to where they start to cost us a lot of money. And that's the time that we stop to decide, okay, this one's gonna have to go, and we're gonna have to replace it. But I'm not sure as a town that we do anything like that, and we just go by mileage, we say, oh, it's got 150,000. You know, it doesn't really mean a lot, you know, depending on how something's been maintained. I have units I run up to 380,000, 390,000 miles. I spend 100,000 on a stake body that you can buy for 90. You know, so it gets to a point where it no longer makes sense. But it just seems like every time we're buying a unit, it's just because we're supposed to do one every year. Well, what does that exactly mean, that we're supposed to do one every year? That really doesn't tell us the condition of what we have now. And I don't know, but I'm not finding that we're always fiscally savvy on some of the decisions that we make. I think we just throw the numbers out there and we expect everybody to just say yes because it's police or fire. And I respect that. You know, I've been helped by them. But when are we going to become, or should I say, when are we going to look at things a little differently to say, we have to know why we're buying these vehicles?
They announced to the town that they were open to inspection, and they placed them at the community. With someone from DPW there to explain why they wanted Advocate to replace. It's different.
That was good.
But it's probably valuable, especially to the townspeople, to say, we get it, we wouldn't drive this. You know, I get that, you know? And that's part of it. But then the other thing is too, how we get rid of our equipment. I understand that we sell it.
Do we have auction?
Have you? I'm sure that's public knowledge.
Yes.
You know, I wouldn't mind, you know, seeing those types of numbers. You know, like I said, I mentioned at the last meeting, I just bought a used street sweeper for $45,000. I hope that we're getting the money that our items are worth when we auction them off. I hope there's a process that we're going through to do this. But hey, I live here. I pay a lot of taxes. My house is definitely valued more than what I feel it should be, but that's another issue. So what I'm getting at is every time we turn around, we're spending more and more money. And I'm just wondering, you know, when are we going to get a little better control on this? Or at least what I would feel is a better control. When are we going to evaluate what we have? You know, we're going to do feasibility studies for a fire station. Okay, it's no different than doing a feasibility study on our vehicles. You know, so when do they need to be replaced? Do we keep track of what we spend on a unit? At 180,000, do we know what we spent on that car? Are we doing that type of, you know, recording? That's all. I don't want to beat it.
No.
But I'm saying that I think we have to require something from the people asking for these units. I feel we have to require something of maintenance. What's it costing you? How many years have you had it? I think we need to do that. I think we're at a point in town, it's getting big enough and expensive enough. I think we need to start doing that. And I don't know where it comes from, selectmen, select persons.
Well, we can make sure that happens.
I mean, is there somebody who's doing it now at the police station? I would imagine that somebody is
Yes.
tracking that information at the
Yes.
police department.
Then it should be readily available.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, like, so the answer to your question, Mr. Carpenter, is yes, but again, I think to your point, so to your point, Mr. Perry, we should have that in our analysis. And to that end, the funding of one fully equipped police vehicle, I mean, I'm not recommending it at this point for the annual. So I think going forward and like in preparing for the special, like we can definitely have that information if that is actually going to be an ongoing request, we can look at.
Right.
Like home matrix.
Right.
And how that makes it, how that matrix breaks down for our whole fleet.
I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, I do too.
And Robert, with disrespect, I don't know if this is something you worked on already, but to me, I just feel we have to become more fiscally responsible in that respect, and not that we're not, we've done a good job, but I think we need to tailor it a little bit more, we need to tweak it a little bit.
That added information can only make us make a better decision.
Right.
Exactly, and it supports the decision. You know, I feel like sometimes I'm making a decision blind, to say, well, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we can't afford to
I
do that.
agree with you 100%. We should get an analysis of our vehicles' age,
Yep.
mileage, maintenance costs.
Yeah, we have to know more about
We
it.
may make the same decision, recommendation. but
Agreed.
It's important that we have that information so we make the right decision.
Exactly, and we shouldn't be sitting here right now saying, how many vehicles do we have?
So just really to that point, like I just want to provide that clarity. So the PD currently has six frontline vehicles. They have one detail and training cruiser. They have one car that is undergoing significant repair at the highway department and has been for the last 3 months as an administrative vehicle. And then they have three administrative cars, one for the detective, one for the chief, and one for the lieutenant. The one that was approved at a special town meeting is on order, and they should get that by the end of August. But that being said, we still need more information.
I think we do.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get that for you.
Is that something we'll get for next week, or are we looking at tabling this till fall?
I'm not willing to make a decision on it tonight without that additional
Yeah.
information. Probably feel more inclined to say fall.
I don't disagree.
Was that?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Right. I think we should consider it to the fall. I honestly don't think I want to keep supporting a new vehicle every year just because it's what we decided.
Yeah, and just from looking down from the top,
Yeah,
the car that's in repairs
right.
is going to be replaced in August, I would assume, so.
But again, without knowing the number we have, what the mileage is, what are we spending on it?
Yep.
You know, sometimes it's worth spending a little money on a car to keep it in fleet than to replace it. You know, I do it all the time. Wrench, but I do it.
Any other questions or comments on?
So then the highway department has actually been participating in maintaining all the police vehicles as well.
Yeah, for really ever.
Okay,
Yeah, I wouldn't say we've out of warranty, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's part of the savings that the highway department provides is that they do,
Okay, they do the maintenance and the repairs.
yeah.
I was gonna ask about maybe internships from DR, but I don't know if they still have an automotive. I mean,
They
when I
do.
went there, they had an awesome automotive
Yeah.
section down.
Not really the repairs that are, the cost is gonna be the parts and everything else.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not like we're gonna save any money to have an intern there.
No.
You know, we're already paying the person to be there regardless if he's fixing the car or not. And is it still Jeff?
No,
No,
Jeff Gagnon is no longer?
no,
he's been gone for over 3 years.
Hey, listen, I'm getting old.
yeah, Yeah, Mark Carr is our mechanic.
Yeah, I would suspect he does probably just as great of a job as Jeff, you know? So with that said, we already have somebody that can do the repairs. I think what the cost comes is not from the cost of labor. I'm pretty sure it's the expense of transmissions and engines and rear ends and things that are gonna go with high mileage cars. That's all.
Yep.
There's in town.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be my only request.
So since we're kind of going through these on a, not making a motion, we're just moving along recommendations. I think right now we'll leave it as is with the no,
Do we need to make a motion on 24? No?
or not yet.
No? Okay, I'm ready.
Just leave it as is for now with no funding source. So with the idea that if things stand the same, yeah, we just push it off to the fall. We move on to 25, seal coating for the parking lot. I had hoped that we would have money in the building repairs to do this, but their budget for building repairs is only 5,000, so.
That's not.
Took that away,
close.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And this is another one that I would highly recommend going raise and appropriate.
yeah, I think so. I agree with that.
$5,000 and
Yeah, it's worth doing.
Right.
It's gonna save us money in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? Where are we on 25?
Yeah, sorry.
that was,
But you know,
You want me to do it? I'm
no,
in
no,
it.
no.
Wow.
I'm capable.
I'm in it.
I don't know, Mike.
Um,
I can do it.
Oh, perfect, okay.
Yeah, no other questions on that?
no,
Probably goal would be to raise and appropriate that.
Okay.
We'll move on to 26. I'll leave that for you.
Yeah, I mean, all I can pretty much tell you is that it's replacing a 2002. That goes with it, so you're talking,
When's the last time we did a one-ton? You're saying that's a 2002, but don't we have a newer one in that as well?
hang on. Because Tommy did provide us with mileage on them, but a 1 ton? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's that, like an F-350 or?
Which is a 1-ton, it's gonna be a 350.
Yeah.
2015.
2015 we have?
Yeah. But this is essentially, we're taking something off the road and replacing it with something new.
So we're gonna replace the 2002, the oldest one.
Right.
And that's the only 2 1-tons we have.
There's a 2002 Chevy as well. Hang on, let me make sure that that's not the one that's being replaced. I don't think he specified the model, but that would probably be the one that he's replacing then. Would be the one he's replacing. So
The
it's a
2002.
2002 Chevy.
So we'll have a 15 and a 22, well, 23, depending on when it actually can.
What we've had on our fleet for,
Well, I guess that would have been my next question, is that what we've always run as a couple trucks? Way, you get a new one, by the time it rolls around again, for the 15 to be old enough, you'll be flipping every 5 to 7 years, not so bad. jump to 28 for a minute, being that these are both
Yeah.
highway requests. That dump truck there, I'm imagining that's gonna be an
50.
So
750.
750.
Big boy. What do we have currently that are we replacing?
That's a replacement.
And that's also an old one?
It's an 04.
That is in sad shape, though. The chassis is eccentric.
Well, it's a Ford, so I understand. We have one on the fleet, one 750.
But do you have that list in front of you?
Actually, no, I'm sorry. The new F-750, what article number was that?
28. That's the one for 170,000.
I'm sorry, that's replacing the 92 International dump truck
Oh.
with the new 750.
Okay.
Includes a sander, snowplow, and
Okay.
all the other associated items with it.
Is it in 1992?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it because we have two, we actually have two
750.
750s that are being requested. One is for the 92, the International, the other is for an 04 F-750 dump truck being replaced.
I believe it was a newer one. The 92 is in still really good shape. It was actually the newer one.
It's a 2004 F-750 dump truck that's
Being
being
replaced.
replaced.
Yes.
And that's the one with the bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Years down.
Well, again, same thing, we know what we have. It's so much easier for us to sit here at a meeting.
Right.
And then just pull up a spreadsheet and we'll know everything.
Yeah.
Something's highlighted saying this is the one we want to replace. Because it's costing us $3,000 a year to maintain, which honestly would be pretty low, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
For a big. They don't understand too, these things rotten because they get, 5,000 miles a year and they're sitting half the time.
Right.
I don't know, I'm just curious, but,
Right.
curiosity, I think it would make it so much easier for us. to make decisions.
How long they would last if they were covered in a new highway facility.
Oh, yeah,
Where you
yeah.
have, you can pressure wash all the salt and chemicals off.
So
So,
at one time, we're getting a little off subject here, but at one time, I think there was a public safety building we could have got for the town, and we would have had, well, you already know the deal, highway, could have had everything together, and a lot of it would have been picked up by the state. And then we decided to do a police station on its own, and unfortunately, now if you go back to the table, what are you gonna do with another police station and try to do a public safety building? But there was money at the time available on the table, but not everyone could agree.
Just in regards to 28, and I know we skipped to 26, but that one's the 04, is that one an issue where it's unsafe?
Yes.
That one is going to be put on the road this winter at all.
Yeah, that one is a very problem vehicle.
Yeah, I think he can use it for small jobs around town right now, but he's only been pretty adamant he's not putting it on the road in the winter.
So basically, it's not inspected. Yeah. And if we don't have something, we have to pay private to come in and plow for us, then we're gonna be spending something anyway. So,
Assuming the same thing, if we held that off till fall, he wouldn't get it he wouldn't have it by the time the season was over anyway.
Yeah.
I don't even think if you approve it now, it's gonna have it for the winter.
For me cutting close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at least we'll be that much more ahead of it, you know?
With the understanding of the discussion on the police vehicle and that, like the maintenance costs and mileage and logs going forward, putting that aside based on the need of this vehicle, are they unfit level of the vehicle it's replacing? We're looking at moving this forward through free cash? What are you?
Well, the 170 is gonna be, you know, free cash, the other one's gonna have to be raised and appropriate. So the things are unsafe.
Yeah, if we.
Yeah.
It's around that.
Yeah.
If we don't put, if we do 28 annual and 26 at special, that's a possibility.
Yeah,
But we need to get, I mean, I think the point we just made collectively is that 28 is the most important one at this point, and
Okay.
belongs in annual. How do we fund it?
And 26 more leave along the same lines as 24?
Well, I think that's the discussion we'll have at the end. Once we
Yeah, no
figure out-
recommendations
yeah,
right now,
Once
so-
we have, we kind of have a better idea of collectively what
Yeah.
we're thinking. But I think if Mike slated which he did 28 into
Free
free
cash.
cash. And I think if he slated 26 into R and A
yeah,
for right now, we can always pull it out and
right.
do it
Yeah,
special.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm good with that.
So 27 now?
Sue or Dave, you guys, any questions on that?
Nope.
No, actually.
Board of Selectmen?
26, you would go raise and appropriate?
Yes,
Right now,
yeah, right, until we get through all of it.
but yeah, Janelle, yeah, I'd even leave that note in there.
Okay. That way we.
Yeah. And, and 28 being free cash. All right, so now we get back to 27.
So in this, it's actually the guardrail replacement here being proposed by the highway superintendent. So this is at Williams and Old Williams.
On the corner there. No?
Yeah, but the highway superintendent mentioned it, so it needed to be replaced due to a public safety issue, so that's. It's like replace 280 square foot of guardrail on William Street in Old William Street.
Or you can be across the street too for 280 feet. With a culvert, yeah.
Again, this is a safety.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It was high on the capital outlay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Tommy actually proposed 3 guardrails that need to be repaired or replaced. And he,
At that one spot?
no, just in
Yeah.
3 different parts of town.
Gotcha.
That was the highest on his priority list to get corrected because that one is a public safety issue. Yeah, the other 2, he agreed to put off until next year.
Okay.
They're on, one's on Maple Swamp and the other is,
Hold on a sec.
let's see, where was the other one? I'll tell you.
I only have 2 right here, Robert.
So Maple Swamp would be brand new,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought there was a third one. Swamp. It's a problem when you have to go through a 100-page document. Oh yeah, I guess I did. There were only two. And they were both roughly equal in price as well, so.
Okay. Okay. I imagine that this should, but your recommendation on this would more be raise it also.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, so yes, it was like originally my recommendation on raise and appropriate, but then I got a little squeamish, was 12,000 for the roll-offs, 5,000 for the seal coating, and then the 43,000 for the guardrails out of raise and appropriate.
Any questions on?
No.
Actually, it's for Mr.
Yes.
Regarding the guardrail.
So we already have a procured vendor to do that. It just would really depend on the supply chain. The highway department recently out installed a replacement guardrail up on Center Street, and we faced very significant supply issues in getting that guardrail like actually in based on the supply. So we would aim to, but it's impossible to say.
My logic. Not going to install it until another year.
Side on now. Like I said, when it comes to public safety, I don't think there's anybody gonna question that. I certainly don't, not when it comes to public safety.
So stupid question. If it passed through a raise and appropriate, could they order the material in June, or would they have to wait until July? Yeah,
It'd be July, I mean, it's the.
Yeah, like, I mean,
The new year.
so if we did it free cash, they would be able to order it the next day.
yep.
How much free cash do we have? What is the,
We're at roughly 75,000 right now,
we have the other,
with the 170 out and the 50,
Yeah.
152.
Yeah, and the 75 would be our proposed carryover. But, I mean, I would say relatively speaking, I mean, we're already, only
2 months.
talking about a few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, so does that extra 3 weeks, does it buy him anything?
If every other town is replacing guardrails, then yeah, it
Right.
gets us in the queue first, right?
But the thing is, you have a vendor that's gonna do this, you have somebody,
Already
You
procured.
got the quote and everything.
all right, so if you have that from the day you tell them that you're gonna do it, they could get it on order with no money out of our pocket probably. Once we sign, hours, so technically speaking, it's not gonna make a difference.
As long as they're not.
Exactly, if they're just ordering it,
Yeah.
we're not gonna lose any time.
No.
If we
If it
do it,
happened to come in before the end of June, they would just
Never
tell him,
happened.
you can't deliver it yet,
Like,
right?
you would just put the
Yeah.
install.
Invoice dated July 1st.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen, Pete, with the
Yeah.
supply chains right now, I promise you, it will not happen.
Yeah.
You are not gonna have it, if you have it by November, December, you're doing good.
So sometimes gray areas is helpful, but I don't like to talk about gray areas with the town accountant sitting right.
No, I'd say even if we do raise and appropriate it, it's not gonna matter, as long as we know, as long as it passes the town meeting, then the goal is there, we don't have to have the cash, I don't think.
Yes.
You're gonna want-
Not gonna,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're gonna call Joe up, hey, Joe, we're gonna do it, get it going. Sign the contract, call it a day. So I think that's the way that would work.
Nope.
Oh, his name's John, sorry. John. Slow, though, huh?
so preliminary raise and appropriate on that.
Does that affect how the committee's thinking about the 1-ton dump? No, that doesn't-
Say that again, Mike?
Not right now.
okay,
I don't think so.
okay.
About which one?
He was asking about 28, if it's gonna affect our thinking on
26.
26.
No, I thought you thought about 170.
No.
Oh, go back to that one and say maybe we want to change our mind.
Yes.
I'll be quiet.
29, where is that?
That, it's a host of asphalt parking at, I believe, School Lane and the courts facility where the tennis courts are, and then the School Lane and Lane Field. And the total price of doing those parking areas is, is $90,000.
Greenfield, what was the second one?
School Lane.
Cooling.
Yes.
You say tennis courts, are you talking about the ones by the old police station?
Yes.
Up by the school?
Police station.
Okay.
Yeah, so Robert, you'll see in your spreadsheet though, that
I'm trying to, I can't find it.
the number I actually have is not the 90,000, it's the 75,900 for all of them.
I thought that was high, but I also thought.
That was a fairly,
75,900
Yeah.
as well.
and that was a fairly low score as well, which would be why I'd recommend to defer that as well.
Came from.
So, defer. That's to the fall.
I mean, my recommendation at least.
Yeah. Back up and see if they have,
Right. Well, Robert's looking for that. We'll go, come back to it, but I'm going to move on to 31. Recommendation is 150 out of capital stabilization for mainly exterior renovations on a proposed library building.
The public warrant or the proposed draft town meeting warrant now is public. And there is a process that the town is going through, which relates to proposed Article 31, like relating to the acquisition of a property for library operations. And the building is, yeah, the bones of the building, what is in the building, it's a historic building, so it's in really good shape. But there will need to be some work done, like in both the exterior and the interior. And the proposed $150,000 would help deal with the exterior improvements, where we would, like, so if we're successful in the acquisition, we do hope to have additional information on the acquisition by next week. But we wanted to, hopefully meet the annual town meeting process. Like we want to hopefully, the ability to hopefully address the town's more than 25-year library needs. In a way that like hopefully we don't really have to impact the taxpayer is, I think, really appealing. So that's what we're trying to do at this point.
The acquisition of the
Yes.
property, what is the expected cost on that?
That is in process right now. So like we really can't discuss that. But the funding source for that would be the town's ARPA funds. So we'd have the ability to expend those without going to town meeting. But in order to acquire the property itself, we would need town meeting approval.
And it would be assumed then that acquisition would not be part of our budgeting.
Yes.
And then the 150 on line 31, it says interior, exterior, would that bring that building up to code, including ADA? Especially if it's an old building.
Yep. We would have to phase in improvements. And I think more to come on that. But it would be a phased process to deal with improvements and to make improvements.
Guess my thinking is this, we go into an acquisition,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have to know what the outline cost is going to be ultimately, because is somebody going to say,
Yes.
this kind of could have built the building?
So yes, and to your point, so even with the phasing where we're at and the projections we're making, the costs are significantly cheaper, and way more cost effective than constructing a brand new building.
That's kind of what we did here.
Yes, but again, it's too early. We can, and I believe will, have the ability to talk about what those phases will be by next week. Obviously, we owe that to everybody to get that out, to the FinCom, to the residents. That's going to be the information that everyone relies on to make that informed decision. But yeah, we're hoping to address, to leverage, a multitude of funding sources, to be able to deal with and address this need, which we believe we have the ability to do without actually hitting the tax rate. And that's appealing.
Yeah, because I know in the past we had grants available and stuff like
Yes.
that. I don't know that we'd get a grant to renovate a building, though we could get a partial grant to maybe build one.
We are exploring that as well, and we've been working with Representative Haddad and Senator Pacheco concurrently.
Okay.
Yeah, without getting into details with this, but currently, the library has applied for a grant a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
State will provide $4 million, we have to pay $4 million, but that's costs that was 8 years ago.
Oh, I know. Yes.
We were at Bristol Aggie just the other day.
Yeah.
And the prices doubled since they built that. That's why BP is so expensive.
Right.
And so
Oh, yeah, as time goes on.
we're talking probably $7 or $8 million that the
Yeah.
town would pay for it.
Right.
To renovate an old library.
Right.
So I think this is a golden opportunity. We'll have more information when.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. They've been waiting a long time for a library.
Right.
You know, our town, I mean, that other building,
We're in a trailer now, we're in the basement.
Yeah,
now. I mean,
no, it's
to me,
not-
this
it's
is
not the way.
no-brainer. I understand your concern about wanting more information, but once we're able to provide it with you, I think you're gonna be pleased.
yeah, oh, no problem.
Is any other questions on? So I think just for, with the obvious understanding, there's more information coming next week, but for now, as a placeholder, I'd be looking at capital stabilization for the 150. Everybody okay with that for now? Yes. And 32, the DSDMS is really a feasibility study as well, right? But would be paid for by the school with some of the ED money that,
Would be paid with some of the school money.
the E&D money that they're returning to us, they would be holding on to 150 to pay for the,
Study.
yeah. Any questions on that?
No.
Assume that we would just be really saying, yeah, okay, right?
Right.
Since it's school.
So yeah, but we'd be funding that out of our portion being returned of the E and D. So like not to beat a dead horse, but we would need a portion of the E and D returned in order to fund it.
Does that need to be returned by town meeting?
Does that need to be returned?
The whatever check they're returning to us, does that need to be returned by no? Once we vote it, it was just a matter of when we get it, we can spend it?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. That's a really, hold on a sec, I've been,
Pull this out of capital stabilization. When we get.
that is actually, so because, yeah, the mechanics of it is we anticipate getting that E and D returned by the end of this year. But
What happened if we don't?
Right.
so if we don't, it goes into the FY22 E and D, so the process starts all over. So, yeah, it's horrifying. So we have reason to believe, again, we're basing a lot of assumptions right now, but we're gonna get that before the end of the year. But I think to your point, Mr. Chairman, is we can't appropriate from that without it hitting free cash. And so that excess revenue, if you will, needs to be certified with that before we can spend from that. So to that point, yeah, we can't spend from our own E and D, which hasn't been certified in free cash yet. So we'd have to fund from stabilization and then replenish it based on that amount drawn. That makes sense, Janelle? Thank you.
Question. This is a feasibility study for the parking lots at these schools?
No, the schools
For the-
themselves.
Okay.
The campus, based on enrollment.
All that, and the fact that we still have the modular at the elementary.
Right.
Yeah, all of that. It's gonna factor in everything. It'd be a total feasibility study, so it could be,
Doing a one campus, one building thing, so we're not leaving,
be multiple campuses. We have no idea, it's a feasibility study, so they can come back and say, here's here's three options for you. It could be
okay,
same campus, it could be, shared media center between the, a third building in there, shared media center,
right,
kind of thing. Who knows,
okay.
We're not doing anything on the other feasibility study for the
Fire
fire
department,
department.
right.
So would this fall into the same situation?
This,
No,
because this would be hired by the school,
We'll just,
opposed to hired by us.
Right.
So, oh, yeah, and this is for elementary and middle school, so this isn't included.
Yeah, but it also got rated that high because we knew that we weren't paying for it.
The
We didn't have,
rating.
not that we weren't paying for it, that we didn't have to worry about a funding source. How's that?
Has
Is
other
that better?
factors.
Okay.
Has other factors.
Is that better?
It goes higher on the priority list if we don't pay.
Right.
There you go.
And right now, where are we looking at our populations going into these schools? How soon are we looking at needing the room?
So I believe the feasibility study would include meeting with planning board as a part of those feasibility studies to find out what the expected growth is, what projects that they've approved, projects that have gotten the pipeline, how much more open space we have that would be open for development, all of that. So I believe all that
When
gets
they do
factored in.
these studies, is it a 5-year outlook that they can use as far as population counts and everything doing these?
That I don't know.
It would take almost more than 5 years.
It's probably gonna
if
be
you're
more
looking-
than 5 years, and the thing is, I remember probably 5 or 6 years ago, them coming to us saying that the middle school was
Done, yeah.
Already.
was at capacity.
Yeah,
And, fire, safety wise, and then elementary, obviously we had to put a Band-Aid on that right now, so we already knew we outgrew that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we already outgrew that. Piece did we get there? We got two outside units to add to that?
Yes,
Yeah.
and what that was
So, I
about
mean,
5
that
years ago,
course-
right?
I'd say about
That
5.
costs us some money, yeah, so I mean.
And are those
definitely
still in
outgrew.
use now?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
which is another bone of contention that is
Yeah,
still being
exactly.
used.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because we said at some point, we try to come up with a more
Yeah.
personal, a better solution, yeah, a better solution, a more permanent solution.
Yeah, and, not for nothing, but we wanted this feasibility study conducted
Years ago,
Yeah,
back when,
before we did that,
yeah.
before we did that.
So,
So,
I think if you take a look. So there's certainly a need for something to be done. Somebody alluded to it. Of that road. So if we can do it,
yeah,
involvement or ability.
in essence, it's a feasibility study on the campus as a whole.
Right,
Mhm.
It's not a study on the road.
right.
Yes.
I guess I would just change my, the funding source being E&D to being capital stabilization. The assumption that once we do get that check, that it's going to replenish 150.
yeah, and I'll go back to what I stated earlier, which is it's a feasibility study, and that should be out of regular stabilization as opposed to capital stabilization.
Either way is fine with me, as long as it goes back.
Yeah,
what,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's, at the end of the day, it's.
Mike, we have in stabilization right now.
We have 1.6 million.
In regular and 980,
How about capital?
985.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
From a policy standpoint, Selectmen or Mike, you guys,
it's,
feasibility studies coming out of regular stabilization or capital
Based
stabilization?
on the number I just read, I would,
General?
yes.
I don't disagree. I mean,
Okay.
I agree with Robert.
When we get the money, we'll be able to put it back in the.
Yes,
Yeah, it's the same vote either way, yeah.
We'll just need a vote.
Yeah, we'll just-
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
All right.
Well, we would have to vote anyways, because when the E&D money comes back, it goes into free cash.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So,
Then we'd have to-
so then we're gonna, what we then do with the fact that we're gonna have a large free cash amount, if the E&D does come in,
Right.
we're gonna have to figure out where we're gonna put that, which is, our typical places are,
Yes.
have regular stabilization, capital stabilization.
Yep.
And I think those are
Yes, yeah.
the primary ones, but we would address any of our other needs at that time as
Yes.
well, because of that.
Sounds good.
Okay, and I apologize for making you wait so long.
Oh, I don't mind, this is awesome.
You're here regarding the,
Oh, right, yes.
Agricultural Commission
Agricultural Commission.
is, for everybody looking, it's 179.
Thank you.
I can't-
And I apologize, I didn't have anything prepared for you guys, but I just found out that I had an increase the other day, that was from March. So I guess what was asked was that they would have a $500 increase to the AgCom budget. Before I get into like just a generalization of some things that we might need, I had a question and I figure I might as well ask you guys about it. So the garden is under AgCom. Is there a way that there is like a specific line for the garden with AgCom, or does it have to go under a specific category? Like, I think it's under, what is it under right now, Mike?
Professional and technical, that's really,
Yeah, that's what.
yeah, if FinCom had the same question, Jenna?
Yes, if we could, I mean, I think that would be a great idea, because I have to go back and forth with Ms. Brady, and I was on the phone with the accountant today, because I didn't know really where I could see where our funds were allocated. We had a donation, there was funds from last year that were put into there. So we just want to keep tabs, make sure we're not going over anything. As far as the $500 increase, we will always need, every year we will need fertilizer. I don't have the exact cost for the fertilizer right now. I do have to pick it up from Darlene at Arujo's to see what we're using. This is the first year, so after this year, I'll have a better idea of how many pounds of fertilizer we're gonna need. I think right now I'm at 125 pounds for the 8 ground boxes and then the 2 ADA beds. But I was just made aware that with having the ADA section of the 2 beds, I don't know if you guys, any of you have been over there. It looks very nice. It's in the works, but it'll get nicer. But with the ADA beds, I guess, in the setup that we have for them, I'm under the impression that the rest of the garden does not necessarily have to be ADA compliant. So we were hoping to put more boxes in there. So just for example, from what we did with the 8 8x4 beds that we put in, it was about $430 for lumber. So we are hoping within the next couple of years, well, we were hoping next year, but I don't want to ask for an additional increase, that we could put beds, more 4-foot beds along the border of the fencing to kind of pretty it up and get more space for us to grow, more crops in there. So next year, we would be asking AgCom for more lumber, probably by the fall, because I know lumber is still kind of hard to get, to see how far we can get with that. And then in the spring next year, we'll be looking for fertilizer. We may need seedlings, but I am in the works of communicating with the STEAM teacher at the elementary school, because she runs the greenhouse, to see if maybe she could get the kids involved. And I know Leslie from AgCom, and she's with Bristol Aggies, so they might be able to volunteer and get us some seedlings from there as well. And then for filling, we usually get donations of compost and manure, and then have to purchase the perlite. So that's just some of the stuff that we would incorporate into, the $500 and see how far it goes.
Okay. So really, so that money's in professional and technical, and that's fertilizer, seeds, probably the lumber's in there too, for the beds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't anticipate us getting very far with a $500 budget as far as what we can put in there for beds. But I mean, we can always reach out on Facebook and community members and see if anybody has 2 by whatever length, like boards that we can, put beds together with.
So the proposed increase is 1,000.
Yes.
But I think only 500 was allocated to the garden. I can't speak to the other 5 for AgCom.
Okay.
So what, I went back to the March 9th, selecting meeting, and where an overview was actually explained, and $500 of the $1,000 increase was for the garden expenses, and an additional $500 would be for informational, would be proposed, has been proposed for the informational materials to help advance the agricultural commission work plan. So which includes educational components, so outreach and partnership with farms, et cetera. So, but like I think to the point that's been talked about, like if the FinCom was to consider the increase of a $500 specifically for the Briggs Garden and break it out in the budget, like what I would think about recommending, is breaking out another line with, so like it's, so it's essentially $700 because, that's really what's been expended this year, plus an additional $500, so that would bring the Briggs Garden expenses to around $1,200. Does that sound about so accurate, Jenna? I mean, what?
I don't know. I mean, yes, I believe last year it was just under $1,000 that they allocated to us to get the garden up and running, fencing, beds. Most of it went to like beds and stuff. The rest of it doesn't really cost that much. I know we just had an AgCom meeting, I think 2 months ago, where I got the approvals for like the fertilizer and the perlite and stuff. That's more of the expense. Once the garden is, like, we have all the beds in place and everything's there, really the only thing we'll probably need decreases to the account because it doesn't cost very much for seedlings. And fertilizer and perlite, I get it, I won't need the perlite anymore. We get like, I think 25-pound bags of fertilizer, organic fertilizer, and I think I get 5 of them. And we're gonna see how far that takes us this year. I have a binder that I'm keeping track of, like, all the costs of everything and like what the maintenance pretty much is for it. So, I mean, the big cost was setting up the garden and getting everything established. BP was nice enough to donate and build us a shed, so that was amazing. Mr. Ferry has been absolutely fantastic. That guy is a godsend in this town, I tell you. He put up a fence for us, he helped me with beds, he helped me with chicken wire, like, we put all that stuff up. So, I mean, yeah, now that it's up and running, and once we get the rest of the boxes finalized, I'm sure we'll get seedlings. They're like, I think at most, maybe like $120, $150 if I had to buy them to do all the beds. And then, yeah.
Like you're talking about just adding like a supply line?
So like a line called like Briggs Garden, so Briggs Garden Supplies.
Okay.
So there could be a dedicated line. I mean, so based on the ACOM's budget now, there's no way to tell.
Yeah.
Right.
What they're doing, what their goals are. I mean, a budget is supposed to inform everyone based on what the goals of the budget is. And from here, you can't, it's indistinguishable.
Yeah, and me and Karen and the accountant, we had no idea. I was like, I don't even know what I'm allocated for the project as like what my budget is to spend and need. I probably could have gone over it. I don't even know. So we had discussed that today, and I was like, I'll be at the finance committee meeting tonight and I'll ask them. That would clear things up nice and smooth.
Can I ask a question, Jenna? You need tools?
So actually, Mr. Ferry, again, he got us a bunch of tools. He's looking into trying to get us a push mower. I have a push mower at home for now, so if I need to, I'll bring it down and leave it at the garden because my mom insists on paying somebody to mow our lawn, so we're not even using it. At some point down the line, which like I said, we'll bring mine down for as long as we need to use it, but we'll either have to get a donation for a push mower and a weed whacker, or we'll have to purchase like a used push mower and a weed whacker, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It needs to cut the grass. Like, you guys have giant budgets. You're talking about all kinds of expensive vehicles. I'm like, I'll go find a push mower for $200 and we'll be straight.
And then just to mention again, anything that's grown in the garden is going to be going to the food bank.
A food pantry in Lincoln Village, yes. Yeah, this year, and we want to open it up to volunteers, like for, like, you know, the Dayton community members that want to come and help. But it's just been so crazy trying to get everything started and get, like, you know, in the ground and moving, that right now I'm just trying to keep it closed off to the scouts so that I can kind of maintain it a lot better. And then I'm hoping, like, I want people to come out and like help and see that they're helping the community and that they're doing stuff, you know, especially with the elementary kids, like they do the walk to Bristol Aggie in the post office and stuff. I'm hoping that working with them, I can go down to the garden and meet the little kids down there and they can come and plant stuff, or they can pick stuff and help bring it to the food pantry. And so it's a nice educational opportunity, and gardening's my thing. David knows gardening's my thing. So I like, you know, it's a nice way to give back. And it was my daughter's idea, honestly. I can't take credit for it. It was.
Any questions?
No, I think it's a great idea.
All set?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night, everybody.
Two. So, preliminarily, before we look at any of the expenses, and again, preliminary based on the discussions we just had on special articles, with the 26, the one-ton dump coming at a raise and appropriate for the 63,000 would put us at roughly 75,000 under the levy limit for before talking about any expenses.
Do we have anything else that came up that might be coming to us on adjustments on what's been presented to us so far?
Actually, that might be in there. Is the extra 4,000 for, is not. Assessor's office did get back to us. The 8,000 was the full amount that they needed for the software, so we're not going to be able to cut that 4 to offset the reassessment. The reserve fund is still at 42, so we know there's going to be another 8 there. Highway is in the process of working on their contract, so there should be an adjustment there as well. So 12 that we know of between reserve and assessors, additional. That's the only thing that I'm aware of.
So, sorry.
And then the contract.
When we talked, I think the beginning of last week now, we also discussed liability insurances. Those actually came back in under where we had, under where we were. So we saved, I think, between 12 and 15,000 there. Unfortunately, those recommendations are, like, I've updated my recommendations with those. So like you'll see them as we go forward, those numbers have been adjusted accordingly.
So the number I'm working off of is in the department request line, the 212.
Okay, got it.
Is that were for insurance, were those updated as well, Mike?
They should have been. Let me check real quick, Peter.
Well, he's looking at that. I know at
Why is my ton
one of the previous meetings, I had mentioned bringing the reserve from 50 up to 60. Number of
That's right.
outstanding items that we have from a legal perspective. They were in the assessor's office, right? Professional and technical, that's what we're.
Yeah, I think between that and the planning board. Right?
And it was the planning board, it was a planning board, it wasn't the assessors. Yeah. So, I mean, if we could find some way to get an extra 10 into that reserve as well. Plus, and the other reason for it is the demolition account as well, because we don't always, I know we put in a set amount, but sometimes we go over.
Yeah.
We have to, I think we're lucky we didn't have to pull more than the 6.
Right.
Which is, so actually, We have to come up with that 6 for this too?
No, because it's still showing at the 42. And
Okay. So, but yeah, so we're lucky that that only came back at 6 more than what we had budgeted. That really, honestly, for 2 buildings, expected it to be a lot more than.
That, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we still have to finalize a contract. And just had an interesting phone call today from the low bidder. So I'm crossing my fingers that everything is going to be copacetic.
Meaning that it could go up.
Yeah. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm knocking on wood. But on the positive front, Mr. Rendon, Mr. Roach, so I did actually leave the original department requests in the insurance budgets alone until we got to them. So like the FinCom and like in the Selectmen could actually see the savings there.
Okay.
So like as we do move forward, like we'll be able to decrease those as well.
Okay.
But I just wanted to be able to show the differences at the outset.
So did you say the total number was 15,000?
Yeah, I believe between 12 and 15, where we actually, so the building insurances went down $1,000, but where we're realizing some savings, and I just want to preface that as well in a moment. We saw pretty good savings, in the workers' comp, of 12,000 here, and then in the liability insurances, sorry, I can't read. That says library, not liability.
And 45.
There it is.
You. I think we're holding even there. So yeah, about $13,000 savings, I believe. The only caveat there, going back to the reserve fund, is like if a new building is acquired, or if a building is acquired. So once we acquire a building, we have to have it, like assessed for insurance purposes. It's impossible to know that number now.
Yeah.
So that's where a reserve fund transfer would undoubtedly be needed, because we wouldn't actually know what all the values are that go into insuring the building until after the fiscal year.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I want to go from 60 to 75 in the reserve.
So I think he's saying stop talking, Mike.
Yeah, I'm good.
No, I'm actually, what I'm saying is Pete can find more money to get into reserve.
So I guess where it's 10 minutes to 8, do we want to get into some of just start on the beginnings of the expense lines, or?
What were your plans otherwise?
I mean, we're going to have to meet next week anyway on
Yeah.
Tuesday, so do we want to just try and bang them all out in the?
Can we go, I would say, let's identify the ones that we can approve. And
Okay,
get those approved tonight. And know next week, all we're gonna do is be addressing where we think we can
Areas of concern.
either make cuts, we know there's gonna be, or we know there's gonna be changes. So like, we're not gonna talk highway because that contract's not finalized, right?
yep,
Those kinds of things. And hopefully by next week.
so then what I'm going to do, because I've got a list of my open items. I'm gonna just read through departments that I don't have an issue on, and if someone wants to stop me, somebody else has an issue, stop me, and we'll go up until then.
We're gonna have to recommend them as groups like we did.
Yeah, just
Yes.
as we've done in the past, so I'm gonna keep
Right.
reading them off until somebody stops me.
Okay.
113, 113, 114, 122, 124, 131. Questions on any of those?
No.
I'm on.
Yep, I'm holding.
113. 124.
It's fine, but wait.
31. Take a motion to approve the department requests.
The only thing, so just if there's any difference between the department request and the Board of Selectmen?
So these, there shouldn't be, because that's one of my notes
is?
that I've, for the most part, if
Aye.
there's a difference, I've got a note that,
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want to be some unintended consequence.
Yeah.
And then have to come back, so that makes sense. Yes, yes.
we got a motion by Kevin.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 132, we will hold. That's the reserve fund, so we'll hold until we have a better idea of where we want to go. 135, I don't have any questions on.
Yeah, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, Mike.
So as you read the numbers, any chance you can say the names?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Town accountant, 135. No questions, I'll take a motion to accept the department request.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I have questions on 141, 145, 146. 51, town council,
1 sec, 141, 1,
5, and 46. Do you want those names too, Mike?
if you want.
Assessor,
Yep,
treasurer,
yep,
town collector, tax collector.
thank you.
I do not have any questions on 151, town council, 155, data processing, 158, tax title. Have any questions on any of those?
No.
Yes. Take a motion to,
Motion to accept the departmental request for, what was that, town council 151, data processing 155, and tax title 158.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's have it. I have question on 161, town clerk. I do not have a question on 162 elections, 163 registrations, 171 conservation, and 174 trails.
72 and 174.
171 and 174.
Thank you.
Just double checking to make sure that
Yeah, thank you.
the TA, between the TA
One
or
second.
selectmen and.
Thank you, Rob.
163, 171, and 171.
Any questions on any of those?
No.
So motion to accept the departmental request for elections, 162, registration, 163, conservation, 171, and trails, 174.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Guys have it. Like I said, 175, I have a open question. Not have a question on, well, before I get to the next one, just more of a clerical. 179 is going to be in my next round. We're going to break that out. Does that matter since the dollar amount's going to be the same?
No.
Okay.
All right, so we're holding now 175.
Yep.
Okay.
So this next group's going to include Agricultural Commission. I don't have a question on the number, but I know we're going to change some of the accounts, but that doesn't, we can still, we're going to be voting on the number.
Yeah, the bottom line, okay. Where were we on 176?
So I do not have any questions on 176 Board of Appeals.
176 has a difference between our TA recommendations and our Board of Selectmen recommendations.
Okay.
On 176?
Yep,
That gets to the stipend issue?
yep. So.
For the member stipend. Okay, so I missed that one. So that, forget that, I do have, forget 176. 179, Agricultural Commission.
175, 176 I held.
So 176, leave it at that for now. Any questions on Agricultural Commission 179?
No.
There's a difference there between the TA and the Board of.
Yeah.
Based on the other 500, so we talked about the first $500?
Yeah.
So when I made my recommendation, I didn't have the information that I conveyed to you tonight about what the additional $1,000 was. So that was not included in my recommendation. That's the difference.
A board of yourself, you just want to change it right now?
Mike had said that he wanted to keep it as his original, just so it was knowledge, but he, right, that's.
I mean, I don't have, so in hindsight, one of the things I'll just really say it, the Agricultural Commission has never presented their budget to us. We've always had to go, so looking for information. Like in my opinion, the information that was presented this evening relative to the Briggs Garden was very helpful. And with my opinion, I view it as worthwhile. But just in my view, the other $500 has never really been explained.
So would it be fair to say then that your recommendation goes from, in that professional technical space, from 130 to 630 with the
Yes.
knowledge that when you
Yes.
split out the Briggs
Yes.
Garden line item, that you would support the $500
Yes,
funding of that line item?
yes.
Okay. So.
And so in under duress, Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to do that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just a capital outlay chairman. Income, right?
The other, so there's still a $500 difference. That's what's going to be broken out in supplies, or that's what's going to be shifted out of professional and technical and into supplies.
Yes.
Yes,
I say we just hold 179 till
Okay.
next week, and then, so then, Janelle, would we see this split out next week then?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Versus. And what do we?
All right. 189 would recommend a motion to approve the TA and Board of Selectmen recommendation, which was $500 less than what the department request was. Based on when he was here, he was okay with getting the $1,000.
Mhm.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 189 industrial development, Mike.
Yes, thank you.
One 192 public buildings maintenance. 93 building insurance. 95 town reports. I guess I would support the TA recommendations on this, as the building insurance includes the reduced bid.
And to accept 92 maintenance and 195 town reports as per department request, and 193 building insurance at $45,000 to reflect the $1,000 reduction in the building insurance, from the building insurance quote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Going to hold
I'll update that.
police, 210 police, 15 communications, 220 fire, 231 ambulance.
Holding on.
Hold.
Okay.
The following, I do not have any questions on, so please stop me if anyone does. 241 building inspector, 242 gas inspection, 243 plumbing inspection, 244 weights and measures, 245 electrical inspection, 292 animal control, 294 forestry.
We have questions on 292.
All right, let's just take them all up to 292. Hold.
45?
Yeah, we'll take them up to 245. So this encompasses the building inspector accounts.
Yep.
So, motion to accept building inspector 241, gas inspector 242, plumbing inspection 243, weights and measures 244, and electrical inspection 245 as per the department request.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll hold 292. So 294 forestry. Any issues in forestry?
Oh, I'll just do that one then. Motion to accept forestry 294 per department request.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have it? Yeah, we'll hold 295. The following, I do not have a question on, so please stop me if you do. 299, emergency preparedness. 300, education. That's it, because then highway will hold for the contract.
And are we holding education till we get a definite E&D?
So we won't, that is going to end up coming back in as free cash. They're not going to reduce our assessment on that.
Okay.
So they already have a portion of their portion of E&D already applied to the assessment. So all we're talking about is the our portion of the over 5%. So, which won't affect our education budget.
Thank you.
Motion to approve 99 emergency prep and 300 education per the department request.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Guys have it. Right, we will hold 422. The following, I do not have questions on, so please stop me. Actually, before I get into this one, is the highway contract, does that apply to 432 street cleaning stormwater?
Yes.
Thank you.
The following, I do not have questions on, 423 snow and ice, and 429 Dayton Berkeley Bridge.
Make a motion, we vote to accept 423 snow and ice control and 429 Dayton Berkeley Bridge as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have it. We hold 432. Waste. So I'll read off again the number of questions that I don't have questions on. 433 waste collection and disposal. 491 cemetery. Say that again, Rob?
Hang on one second. We have a
Okay.
discrepancy
Yes, waste.
on waste.
Okay.
They,
I say we just hold that.
Okay.
It's just that.
yeah.
They're roughly $6,000 less than the departmental request.
That's all in expenses.
It's in hazmat disposal.
We'll hold 433. That's fine. Right, so 491, 510, 491 and 510.
This is 510, there's a difference
Discrepancy.
between
Hold
the
510.
recommendations and the departmental.
Oh. So, and if 292 is going to be held on the ACO, so it would make sense to hold that as well.
Okay, so we'll hold 510. So we're just talking 491 right now.
Make a motion, we vote to accept 491 cemetery as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will hold 510 and 519 I've got questions on. Do not have questions on 541 Council on Aging, 542 Prime Time.
We have some differences on 41 between the two.
Yeah.
I can. Oh, that's an overtime? Yes, and 5131.
Hold that.
We're holding 519 as well.
Oh, I mean, let's see.
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then 541,
So if you want, I can explain, I mean, I don't want to speak for the board, but like on the overtime line, like if you look at the history of the line item there, that line item has not been used, so that was a rationale of decreasing it from 1,000 to 500.
Would he be open to a motion to accept the Board of Selectmen's recommendation on that? On 541?
Yes.
Council on Aging?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Time. Yeah, no, the both is the same, so. Any questions on 542?
No.
No. Make a motion, we vote to accept 542 prime time as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Guys have it. Just a minor thing, but I just want to take a quick look on 543, just based on turn back last year, so if we could hold that one. The following accounts, 549, Commission on Disability.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
the only thing, depending on the committee's recommendation on the stipend issue,
Yep.
this may or may not be affected by that. I just want to throw that out there.
Because there is a Board of Selectmen and a TA difference on here.
So,
Yeah.
so, but if, so I mean, so in terms of fairness,
Yep.
if there's a stipend, if there's a, so one of the things, if there's a stipend increase on the harbor master as a stipend employee, like following the same logic there,
Is that the 2%?
Yeah.
yeah, the same logic could be applied.
So look to take a motion on 549 to approve the TA recommendation on Council on Disability.
Okay. To approve the Board of Selectmen, I mean, the town administrator's recommendation on on item 549, the Commission on Disability.
Both dropped the office and professional technical by 250.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's not, yeah. There we go. With those drops, everybody's good with those drops?
Yep. I'll second David.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Sewer Commission, 600. Yeah,
So, yeah, so this has been, so this has been updated based on updated budget figures. Still based on a new employee that's been hired and based on that, a revised departmental request as of the other day by the sewer commission. So that does explain the difference between the department request and the Board of Selectmen recommendation at this point. And so this budget is on the agenda for the selectmen to go back to tomorrow night, so they can update their figure accordingly.
okay, so we'll just hold that.
Mike, what's your difference between 480, 401, 51, and you're at 480?
I believe, so I believe my difference has to do with pre-stipend discussion.
Yeah, it's all up top.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That was the simplest way to.
So we're gonna hold 600 then? 'cause
Yeah, we'll hold
stipend.
600. I think the Board of Selectmen are going to update their recommendations. Library, I had a question on. Park and Rec, I had a question on. 690, Town Historian. 691, Historical Commission. 698, Cable Committee. 710, Maturing Principal on Long-Term Debt. 751, Interest on Long-Term Debt. 52, Interest on Short-Term Debt. 911, Retirement and Pension Contributions. And I'll leave it at that.
690 to, so 911?
911, yeah.
Thank you.
Motion to approve 690 Town Historian, 691 Historical Commission, and 698 Cable Committee. Um,
710.
Maturing principal number, maturing principal and long-term debt,
710.
710. Interest on long-term debt, 751, interest on short-term debt, 752. Contribution. It's requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have it. For 912, take a motion to recommend the TA recommendation. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Guys have it. Nine 14, 915, 916.
Keep going.
Motion of 914 group health insurance, 915 group life insurance, 916 employer contributions as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I had to channel my inner Mary Hathaway.
I just figured we'd hold 919 just till the end because we always do.
Yeah.
Question on 920. So the following 940 settlements, 941 court judgments. That's it.
Make a motion that we approve 940 settlements and 941 court judgments as provided.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Let's have it. And I should have included this one, but this one is a no change too. So 945 liability insurance.
Motion to accept it as.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it.
But just one thing on the last one too, so there actually is a cost savings there, but it doesn't show because what we were able to do is the cyber insurance that we had funded at special town meeting. We were able to actually incorporate that $12,000 cost into the line item. So basically the line item, I think year to year, it only increased by a net $3,000. So we did realize some savings where we were able to build that in, so.
With the cyber included?
Yes.
Okay. That is all I've got, but before I wrap it up in here, any public input, Mr. Woods?
No, I'd just like to thank you guys for all your hard work.
Thank you, Woody.
I'm not gonna sit here and cry over my no 2%. I'll take it out on Mike later.
Everything always come back to me.
It was your recommendation, Mike.
Thanks, Woody.
Sounds good, Woody.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Right.
Any other questions on the board? Selectmen, any questions?
It's not a question. Establish possible. We wouldn't
Go under.
go under.
Like, based on the projected number,
Yes,
spending, so we're looking at spending 502,000 out of the ambulance fund. Well, projected, what would we be at the end of the year,
it's
the account?
700,000. So based on our projections now, we would have a retained revenue of at least $200,000 there. And I think, I think the point that Lenny just brought up is a really important point. And I think, like with what we have, the work we have coming down the pike, like in crafting the financial policies so that all of us are going to be working to craft together. We can really set those limits and so set that framework. So like we have that guidepost really to guide like all of our efforts forward. So that, I mean, I could realistically see that being enshrined and memorialized. Yeah, like 200,000, whatever the number is, but it being a financial policy with the number there.
So at least you can point to and say, this is why this amount is being transferred out this year. Personal, yeah, 150 to 200, I think is a good number.
Yes.
200 pretty much covers, in worst case scenario, covers the rest of the ambulance that we're committing to in this budget. Yeah, that would be my personal. Anything else?
No.
Okay. I guess we will adjourn first, then. Take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll step down as chair to second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we won't be able to. So just the same game plan, we're posting next Tuesday night at 6 PM. Is that
Yeah, and-
everybody?
yeah.
I mean, is that the plan?
No Thursday this week?
No Thursday,
Tuesday at 6.
17th? Yeah, I would think we'd be able to. Still on?
Oh, yes. Somebody